At 58, The Rock finally reveals the 5 wrestlers he hated most. You step inside that ring for 20 years. You bleed, you sacrifice, you destroy your body night after night. And somewhere along the way, you learn exactly who deserves your respect and who never will. Dwayne. The Rock Johnson did not become the most electrifying man in sports entertainment by being kind. 10 championships, sold-out arenas across the globe, a career built on pure charisma, unmatched intensity, and absolutely zero tolerance for disrespect. But behind that million-dollar smile, behind those people's eyebrows, there were personal war inside that ring. At 58 years old, The Rock finally breaks his silence. 5 wrestlers, 5 grudges that never faded. This is the list he kept buried for decades. Before we reveal the list, you need to understand who Dwayne Johnson really is. Because this story is not just about championship belts and catchphrases. It is about a man who clawed his way to the top when the entire industry tried to push him back down. Dwayne Douglas Johnson was born on May 2nd, 1972 in Hayward, California. Wrestling was not just a career in his family, it was a bloodline. His grandfather Peter Maivia was a WWE Hall of Famer. His father Rocky Johnson was a tag team champion. The ring was his destiny before he ever laced up his first pair of boots. But destiny did not come easy. When The Rock debuted in WWE in 1996, the crowd rejected him completely. Rocky Maivia was too polished, too corporate, too perfectly packaged. Fans booed him out of every arena. A lesser man would have quit. Dwayne Johnson turned the hatred into rocket fuel. He reinvented himself as The Rock, arrogant, electrifying, and dangerously entertaining. By 1998, he was WWE champion. By 1999, he was the most over superstar on the entire roster. By 2000, he was carrying the entire company on his shoulders. 5. Randy Orton. Tony Stewart did not hate many people without reason, but Randy Orton was different. Orton arrived in WWE with a silver spoon, a legendary last name, and an attitude that suggested he had already earned everything before proving a single thing inside that ring. The tension started early. When The Rock returned for WrestleMania 20, Orton was positioned as the next big thing. Young, arrogant, and completely unbothered by the legends he was supposed to respect. The Rock noticed immediately. In the locker room, Orton carried himself like someone who believed the throne was already his. That kind of disrespect never sat well with a man who had been booed out of arenas before earning every single fan he ever had. Then came the interviews. Orton publicly questioned The Rock's commitment to wrestling, called him an actor pretending to be a wrestler. Said The Rock viewed himself as something above the business that made him famous. Hearing a young superstar dismiss that sacrifice was unforgivable. Randy Orton was not just disrespectful, he was ungrateful. And in The Rock's world, there was no sin worse than that. Number 4. Brock Lesnar. Some rivalries are built on words, some are built on politics. This one was built on something far more dangerous. Pure, undeniable ego. Brock Lesnar arrived in WWE like a freight train with no brakes. Massive, unstoppable, and completely convinced that the entire industry existed solely for his benefit. He did not respect the business. He did not respect the locker room, and he absolutely did not respect the men who had built everything he was now profiting from. The tension between Lesnar and The Rock was never loud. It was never a screaming match in the parking lot. It was something quieter and far more dangerous. A cold, decalculated mutual contempt that everyone in the locker room felt, but nobody dared to acknowledge out loud. Lesnar made it clear through his action, for a man who had sacrificed his body, rebuilt his reputation from complete rejection, and carried WWE on his shoulders during its most critical years. Hearing Lesnar disrespected The Rock's legacy, but Hulk Hogan did something far worse. He tried to steal it. When Hogan returned to WWE in 2002, the moment should have been magic. The 2 generations of wrestling royalty sharing the same ring. Instead, it became something uglier, a power struggle that never fully resolved itself. At WrestleMania 18, the crowd in Toronto exploded for Hogan in a way nobody predicted, cheering the villain, drowning out the hero. Hogan fed off every single second of it. Backstage, he lobbied for more. More screen time, more spotlight, More of everything that The Rock had rightfully earned. The Rock smiled through every promo, delivered every line perfectly. But privately, watching a returning legend manipulate situations for personal glory felt like a betrayal of everything professional wrestling stood for. For The Rock, Hulk Hogan was never just a rival. He was a reminder that even legends could become obstacles. Number 2. John Cena. Hulk Hogan tried to overshadow The Rock. Brock Lesnar dismissed his legacy. But John Cena made it personal in a way nobody else ever dared. Because Cena turned moment without hesitation, positioning himself as the true loyalist. The man who never left. The superstar who stayed when The Rock walked away. It was calculated, brilliant, and absolutely infuriating. Then came WrestleMania 28. Their match was personal, beyond anything the crowd understood. Every exchange inside that ring carried the weight of 2 years of genuine animosity. When Cena lost, the defeat felt earned in ways championships never could explain. Off the camera, their relationship never fully recovered. Cena's interviews remained sharp. His loyalty narrative followed The Rock everywhere he went. For Dwayne Johnson, John Cena was never just a rival. He was the one man who successfully used The Rock's own story against him. And that single fact stung deeper than any rock bottom ever could. Number 1. Steve Austin. Every wrestler on this list pushed The Rock to his absolute limits. But there was only one man who got under his skin deeper than anyone else. Not because of dirty politics. Not because of public attacks or locker room manipulation, but because Stone Cold Steve Austin represented something The Rock could never fully conquer. A superstar who was just as electrifying, just as beloved, and completely unwilling to let The Rock behind every scripted confrontation, behind every perfectly delivered promo, there was genuine tension that no script ever fully captured. At WrestleMania 17, Austin turned heel in a moment that shocked the entire industry. The Rock stood in that ring and watched the crowd choose Austin over everything. That image never left him. Off camera, Austin challenged The Rock's authenticity constantly, questioned whether his charisma was natural or manufactured. Greatness is never built in comfort. It is built in conflict. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson lived the truth every single night he stepped inside that ring. Randy Orton, Brock Lesnar, Hulk Hogan, John Cena, and Steve Austin did not just challenge him inside the squared circle. They pushed him to become something harder, sharper, and more unstoppable than anyone in WWE history. Every disrespectful comment, every political maneuver, every attempt to dim his spotlight. Every moment of genuine hatred fueled a fire that 10 championships could not extinguish. At 58 years old, The Rock no longer needs to protect anyone's feelings. These 5 wrestlers were not just rivals. They were the men who forged exactly what it meant to be Dwayne Johnson. Relentless, unbreakable, and absolutely electrifying. The grudges were real. The memories never faded. And now, finally, the world knows the truth. Subscribe for more untold stories.